The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the big show. I am Larry Neal.
And I am Alex Wallace.
And we are the Spoken Token podcast. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Alex, sir, how are you doing?
I am great.
You sound great.
Yes, I am using my best kung fu movie sound speaking voice for a particular reason.
Wow.
Would you like to know why?
Okay, yeah, I've never seen them kung fu movies you watched. I may need to get some recommendations from you.
I only watched one, and that was Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. It's the only one I watched. It's the only one. So no,
talking like that, but okay.
Yeah, they had a whole level of jive to it. No, actually, the reason I'm talking like that is because one of my favorite kung fu anything is actually getting its own tabletop RPG.
Oh, and that would be
Avatar: The Last Airbender. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. It's
so
on.
Are you an airbender, a firebender, or a waterbender?
If I would be an earthbender.
Have you checked?
No. Well, I don't do online quizzes or anything.
No, it's not a quiz.
It's not a quiz.
It's loosely based on the zodiac.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't really do zodiac, so I don't like what is.
Well, I don't know.
Isn't that a guy that like killed a bunch of people?
Not talking about the zodiac killer, man.
Okay.
We're talking about the astrology signs under which you were born.
Oh, okay. I was born under.
We'll have to look it up.
Under a carport. Is that what we're talking about?
Your mom still listening to this show? Because I'm gonna call her. We're gonna have to get the truth on that. Wait a minute now.
So the bug zapper is that my zodiac sign?
Well, no, but I'm thinking that's probably one of the really cool things. I know much less about the TTRPG than you do.
Yes.
Even though I love I own Avatar: The Last Bender on Blu-ray. I love it. I love the series. I think it's a wonderful story. I think that series was really well concepted, but then it still ends up being greater than the sum of its parts.
Oh, absolutely.
And its parts are amazing.
Yeah. The only thing about that show that isn't any good is the last episode. Like,
what?
For real. Because it's so short. It's like you have 4 seasons.
It's good though, man.
And then you're just like, and the final battle that we've been working up to is done in 4 minutes.
Oh my gosh, Katara and
Oh, no, I'm not talking about it. It made me say it.
Oh, man.
I mean, just love it. It's all good. It's all good.
The fight. No,
I know,
it's
fantastic.
the minute,
yeah.
when she comes at her, she's over the grate.
Oh, yeah. No, it's beautiful. It's incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
It's
just
incredible.
The staging of it, the conceptualizing of it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the animators animated it, which something like that you would have had to animate.
Yeah.
But it was just so brilliant.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Because Azula had completely lost it.
Yeah.
And she looked, and it was really quick that she looked. But at that point, you could see her, that steely calm, like she says, I got it.
Yeah.
And as soon as she drew her in, she just brought that water up, and Azula's like, what just happened?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. And it was one of those things that, like, I started watching it just for my kids, and
I looked at it for me.
And then I was like, this is brilliant. It truly is brilliant.
It really is.
But I mean, I would be an earthbender because Toph, the earthbender in the series, is one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time.
She's everybody's favorite everything. Who does not love Toph?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
It truly is.
Oh my goodness!
A brilliant conception and idea, and how creative they were with expanding and exploring what she could do and all of those kinds of things. So, needless to say, Avatar: The Last Airbender is an incredible piece of animated fiction. Yes, but on Kickstarter now they have what is called Avatar Legends, the role-playing game, and this is a licensed TTRPG. It's done by Magpie Games. The idea is it's very similar to what Star Wars tried to do, but instead of 3 different core rulebooks, you actually have one big rulebook that covers 5 different eras, and
which is all of the known lore at this point.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
From Aang to Katara.
Well, actually, even before Aang.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right. It would be back to Wan.
No, it goes back to Kyoshi.
Oh, the Kyoshi. Okay.
Kyoshi, and
so
then actually,
Wan, okay.
and then through to Korra, not Katara. So Korra, yeah, absolutely. So
clearly, I like Katara better than Korra, but okay.
But what? So you and each of the 5 different eras takes place over some of the monumental pieces of story that happen throughout, and they all have a different flavor of kind of what you want to do. Again, akin to what Star Wars did. So, like, if you wanted Age of Rebellion, or if you wanted Edge of the Empire, or if you wanted Force and Destiny, your kind of flavor and all of those kinds of things.
About your bending,
right? But here it does different times, kind of give you a different function or kind of a different goal to play, which I'm super pumped about. It's a D6 system.
Really cool.
Yeah. It's I think it's based on the Apocalypse framework that they used in Monster of the Week, Masks: A New Generation, and the Root RPG. And so it's kind of a D6 system, and I think basically you have to when something triggers, you've got to roll 2d6, and if you get a 10 plus, you typically are successful.
Super cool.
Yeah, I love the world. I love the world, and being able to be in this, but you and I.
Something tells me we'll be able to talk about it in depth here coming up.
I know, but just like you and I were talking about, but before we even got on the air, like, when am I going to get to play this? But then again, I mean,
this is something you love to play with your kids.
Yep.
Your kids are getting older.
I know.
And quite frankly, I don't know the other people in our circles, but I mean, I know I love the lore as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not one that I would be opposed to. Like you, I mean, and I was thinking, particularly with us talking about RPGs at last episode, I realized I've got quite a few.
Yeah.
More than I thought. I'm thinking, well, I'm just not getting in our TTRPGs. I mean, I like 7 books.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, wait, okay, well, maybe.
Yeah, and when do we get to it? And I know that's a big deal, but then again, I also believe in supporting projects through Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say that this doesn't necessarily need my support. It is now officially, as of 21 days left to go, it's been live for 6 days. It has reached $4,888,025. It is the highest funded tabletop RPG of all time. And honestly, I believe at this, it could be one of the top funded anything on Kickstarter,
right,
if it continues this momentum.
And I think a lot of that speaks to, obviously, the license.
Yeah, the love of the license. Yeah, absolutely.
People love the IP. So, again, an opportunity to role play and to answer the question that I asked you at the top of this segment, what bender are you?
Yeah.
Now you get to do it. However you want to set it up, and then you get to play it out.
And you know what so I
that's
think?
Pretty cool.
What may be really interesting about this is because of its success so quickly on Kickstarter, it may reinsert itself into popular culture again. It actually has never left.
Right.
And
I mean,
Yeah, but
if we can just keep M. Night Shyamalan away from the franchise, right.
You ain't kidding. You ain't. But actually, Netflix is doing a series with it, aren't they? Or is that stopped or not?
There's been a whole bunch of stuff, and the 2 original creators are off of it.
Oh.
And just it is what it is.
Okay.
And I don't know the full of it. I remember because I was excited about that, and that's pretty old news now.
Okay.
But they both exited the program, and they said the right things and said they were excited about what the team was going to happen, but they were no longer involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's in production now with Netflix. Very well could be because we're talking Netflix. They do things and just pop it out there.
Yeah.
But without those guys involved, where they are in their careers, I won't say that it would automatically be something that I won't want to watch, but I'll be looking at it with a guarded eye.
Yeah.
Because other than just egos and wanting to go a different direction with stories and characters, there's no good reason not to use those guys.
Yeah, well, but
from my perspective.
Yeah, but I do see though that like they put Avatar, they put Korra to bed a couple of years ago. And as a creative, sometimes it's time to move on.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, everybody wanted more of Aang, and I think Korra was a good jumping off point, but clearly Nickelodeon didn't want to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think what Korra did so well was the bending arena. So good. That was just brilliant. And I mean, to have a board game come out, that's a stroke of genius. Granted, the game itself it's okay, right? I mean, it was. Or have you not actually opened your copy?
Sure, I have.
Have you played your copy?
I have not.
Okay.
Have I learned my copy and moved pieces around by myself? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a bad opinion of it.
Yeah. Didn't you and I try and make a bending arena board game?
We did. Just before that came out is one of the reasons why I bought that. This is a funny A-side, and we better move on after this. But it's one of the reasons why I bought it because I didn't know that existed. Mm-hmm. You and I had started on ours, and I was really, really excited about it. And ours was the bending arena, but it was way more involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than what's been done.
Yeah.
But as soon as I heard about it, I'm thinking, I better get it. I was almost compelled. I mean, that's really weird to say about board games, but I was like, I got to see what this is.
Yeah.
And I like what they've done. It's different. It's a lot simpler than ours. Mm-hmm. It's going about it in a different direction.
Right.
And I believe there would be room for a more involved version of the arena than that particular game. But no, I think it's a fine game. I have no qualms about it whatsoever. I own everything that they have. I bought the expansion to it too.
Yeah.
Because one of the things it needs is more teams.
Yeah.
So that was the
Cool.
way I felt about that. But
Well,
let's do this.
So that's Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. Go check it out on Kickstarter as of our recording. And when you hear this, there'll be about 15 days left to jump on the bandwagon with everybody else, including myself. And Larry?
And support good games.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Should we
Summer
go?
of Games rolls on. Let's get into it.
Let's roll on. As Limp Bizkit would say, we're rolling.
Just had to work that in.
I did. Listen, that was a great bit, and
you got it in there.
I did. So I just want everyone to know I had a wonderful, fantastic bit about Limp Bizkit, and also other things, but it didn't work, and so we had to cut it. But I still want to get in there. So let's move on.
We'll be back. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Spoken Token Podcast, episode number 95. This time, Alex and Larry sit for a candid discussion old school style and talk about topics affecting the industry today. They then take a first look at an award-winning board game and visit an original segment from way back in discussing personalities and behavior in tabletop RPGs that you don't want to emulate. All this plus so much more. So, sit back, relax, get out your magnifying glass and turn us up as we join our hosts, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal.
Boom. Larry, what is that giant banging noise on my floor?
We're back.
What is that noise? What interrupted me from my we're back?
I have no idea.
But
we are back.
Do you not see it in the room? It's very large and heavy.
No.
You don't?
No.
Not in the corner where I am pointing?
Oh, wait. You mean that elephant in the room?
That would be the thing, my kind sir. It is not my dog, Max. It is definitely not my wife. No. No.
Hey, man, I don't prompt you. You do these things to yourself.
I know. There are times when words come out of my mouth where I'm just like, no, stop. Who are you? What are you doing? Stop.
She's hearing this real time, so we ain't got to worry about the recording.
I know. No, it is the elephant in the room. We got something everybody should know about, or at least, I mean, and maybe you don't, but it's something we got to talk about.
Right. Something we want to talk about. I know it's the summer games, and we want to talk about games and gaming and all the goodness around tabletop gaming. But yeah, this one came up. I guess it's been happening for a while, but by now, if you've not heard, Tasty Minstrel Games is running into some difficulties, and they are not quite going completely out of business, but unfortunately there are no employees now except for one of the founders of the company, and they aren't doing any production of new titles or any reprints, and going to concentrate as a company on selling out their current existing stock of their dice games, Martian Dice being one of them, which is doing well for them, to try to return to profitability so that hopefully they can get back into back into the field, back into the ring, as it were, maybe a couple of years down the road. Just a lot of debt mounting up. And a lot of that, of course, has to do with, the reality of smaller publishers. The things that Tasty Minstrels did, from Orleans to Kings of Air and Steam to Scoville, they're just excellent. Their games were fantastic. The production of them was just fantastic. The games were really good. And still, you can see with that much success, with that much excellence in terms of the company saying we're never going to skimp on these things. We're going to always do these things as good as we can.
Yeah, and
the reality of the business is rough.
That is true. And gosh, man, and how often have we talked about how well TMG produces their games? Right. I mean, we even did an entire show about TMG games.
Yes, we did.
And it's just because of our love for what they do and what they do well.
Yeah, just a personification of hobby board gaming.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're great games that are well produced, and they're clever, they're fun, they're different, and it's just. But you're right. You're absolutely right. We're with the current situation with shipping and with production costs and inflation and all of these things, like it's hurting everybody.
Right.
Everybody. And they even though they are, their games are stalwarts of our hobby, they are themselves not immune to the economy and
and to be clear, I mean, they haven't come out officially that I've heard in terms of the reasons why. We don't need to know the reasons why. Basically, what's been quoted is an array of reasons. Their latest Kickstarter, they're issuing refunds, and they won't be producing that particular game. And again, it's for an array of reasons. And we know, there are a lot of things going on that we do know about. And of course, we could sit around and speculate on them, but that's not really productive. This is just about making sure that it's known, that you guys are aware. If you get an opportunity to support them, if good gaming is something that you care about, then by all means do. At this point, just to put it out there for those people who may be naysayers, I don't know who they are, but at this point, if you pick up a game of theirs or you sit down to a table game of theirs, you're not necessarily supporting them right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already ran. So don't be like, well, I don't want to support them because they don't know what they're doing. You're not going to. Sit down and play a good board game. Mm-hmm. If you like good board games and somebody whips out Scoville or Orleans or it's, any of the other games that seem to be something that you may like to play it, right? When the opportunity comes, if hopefully the opportunity does come down the road where they are in a position where, hey guys, we may make games again, we're going to need your support. Then you can make up your mind after having played their product. Do you want to support them or not? Okay, again, I'm not pointing fingers at anything. I don't know any of the information. I'm not pointing fingers at retail. I'm not pointing fingers at big box retail. We all know my stance on that because I don't know what's going on here. Again, this was a news piece that, again, I wanted to make sure that we didn't let it go without speaking to it in case you weren't aware of it, of what's happening. An email apparently went out to the Kickstarter backers. I think that's kind of how the story broke. But again, I wasn't on that Kickstarter, so I didn't get the email firsthand, so I don't want to go and quote something or from something that I have not firsthand received. What I will do, though, is I will put a link to one of the stories that I used just looking this up in our show notes. I was looking at the coverage on Dicebreaker, and of course, there's some discussion on BGG. But for now, I think probably the best source would be one of those emails. If you're somebody who was on the Kickstarter, then you know more than I do in terms of exactly what's going on. This is really just, Spoken Token wanting to say, hey, we're sad to see this happen. We understand that it may happen, and we really don't want it to happen to anyone else, even though, of course, we don't have much control over that either. But we wanted to bring it up for you guys to know, hey, this is what's going on. If you get a chance, and if it's something that you think you want to do, then, give them a support when it's helpful for them. Clearly, right now, we're past that point for now with those guys. So that's kind of all we really wanted to say about that in terms of the elephant in the room this time. Again, just pointing it out and bringing it up that Tasty Minstrel is going through some problems, unfortunately. And I guess with that, we will move on.
Boom, 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 boom. That was the sound of the elephant leaving the room. We have talked about it.
And we are back. Mr. Alex, can I ask you to do me a favor?
Yes, sir. Yes, you may.
Don't be that guy.
Oh, I'm so excited. This has been, we've been doing this for almost 6 years now.
This is one of the first ones we did. It literally was on show 1.
No, it wasn't on show 1, but it was very close.
Oh, you know what? I looked it up because we didn't have it on our sheet.
It was actually
segments.
But it was an expansion.
Yeah, it was the first expansion, which was the second thing we recorded.
Oh yeah, man.
Based on the notes.
Because I talked forever, but honestly,
didn't we lose that one?
Huh?
Didn't we lose that?
No, we still have it.
No, I thought we had to redo it.
We might have.
I think that's one of the first ones we lost.
That was I did. You know what? That day. Well, let's move on. Let's don't be those guys.
Let's don't be those guys. And let's let everybody know what it is. What we're doing, we're going to identify some bad gamer habits and how to avoid or correct them so that everyone has a more pleasurable playing experience, no matter what type of tabletop game we're talking about. And this time, we're talking about the tabletop role-playing experience. Those who've been with us for a while may be sensing a theme to this summer of games. We'll be building up to something that we'll be announcing really soon.
I think they already know.
I'll sit back now and let it go.
Yes, but yes. So again, the theme of our summer of games is tabletop role-playing games, and so I wanted to quickly identify a couple of gamer habits, personality types. Well, not personality types per se, but more. If you start to see that you are playing towards this type, or you see someone in your group, so what can you do about it? And also, maybe can you identify it in yourself? And all
That's
those
great.
What, are you being one of those guys? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I'm just agreeing. I just can't contain my agreement.
You can't. Have you read the list yet?
Nope.
Oh, you haven't? Oh.
Nope.
Are you gonna say that I am these players all the time?
I don't know what I'm gonna say.
You have no idea.
I'm gonna find out with the rest of the listeners. I'm super excited.
Super excited. You say that so sarcastically. But all right, so the first player that we suggest when playing tabletop RPGs. So I have 3 that are player characters and 1 that is a DM. So the first 3 that I'm gonna kind of just talk about are if you start to see these things in yourself, you are this person at the table and everyone else is judging you. So I just want you to be aware of that. The first is what I call the hijacker. This is the person that thinks that the table is there to tell this person's story. So for instance, if I am a hijacker, some things that I might do are, oh, you have this cool backstory? Well, this is how it intersects with mine, and this is how I become king of the universe. Oh, this giant bad guy, well, he actually is my father. Everything becomes about telling the story of their particular hero. They do not allow time for the other people in the room to develop their characters or to have their own moments.
Amazing.
This is the person that inserts themselves into every cinematic moment that the DM creates, and so it could be even like, maybe Larry is his character is actually able to slay the dragon, but then my character, if I'm the hijacker, I would come in and maybe I would steal that moment away, make it about you. So this is someone who's typically is really self-centered or focused on themselves. Now, this is somebody, a lot of these people, a lot of your new players usually fall into two categories. They are the super quiet mouse guys who are just like, oh, I need to roll something. Okay, I'll roll this. Or they're like, I don't really know how to play. All I'm used to playing is a video game. So therefore, let me play it as I would a video game. Video games are single player centric for the most part. Well, even in multiplayer, you're still focused for the most part.
Everything is from your perspective.
Yeah, from your perspective.
Yeah.
And so, but that's not what tabletop role-playing is about.
Nope.
Tabletop role-playing is a group activity.
Yep.
It is a group story in which each player brings a unique story to the table, but it is there to enhance the group story. Ownership of the story is not for one person.
Yep.
Ownership is equal among the DM and all of the other players. Well, actually, I wouldn't even say the DM.
No, and it's the DM's job to make sure that what you just said happens.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Based on a setting that they have come up with. So they've come up with the setting and given you this world to play in, and then everyone's telling a shared story, and then it's the DM's job to help move that along and help you guys tell this group story.
Yeah, and some of the things to identify if you are the hijacker, if you've noticed that like after a 2-hour segment your voice is hoarse, you're probably a hijacker.
They might talk a lot of real life. Their voice might be used to it.
That's true. But again, if you can look around the table and you have 3 or 4 people who are on their phones completely disconnected or disinterested in the game, it's not because the DM is bad or they're not enjoying their time. It's because someone else is not allowing them to have equal stake. You're all stakeholders.
It's tough. And it's funny that you say that with the hijacker. This is part of it too, and not in the sense that you want to try to, butt heads with this individual, but understand too, if you sat down at the table and said, hey, let's play this game together, you do need to put in. Mm-hmm. Don't just sit there like a knot on the log. Again, I'm definitely not excusing the hijacker at all, but you need to make sure that you are telling the story when the GM comes to you or when it's time for you to do something. And the GM's like, what do you want to do? And you say, I want to attack him. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he gives you your roll and you roll it and you hit it. And the GM's like looking at you. Don't just sit there like a nut on the log. Yeah. Take your opportunity. That's your spotlight. Add your bit to the pot. Right? This is a gumbo. You're standing in front of the pot. Grab the spices that you want to use. Don't sit there looking around like I rolled a 12 and I hit him. Come on, guys.
If you are a hijacker, here is some. So what can you do to avoid doing this? My suggestion is if you're thinking about your teammates, if you are thinking about the people in your party more than you're thinking about your own character, then I think you have an opportunity to really break yourself of this. So, for instance, a good DM will engage each of the characters at an equal level.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and now I will say some of this, a DM may be more interested in a particular player story for that particular session, or they may see, oh, well, Larry's really given a lot of energy tonight. Let me lean into a lot of his stuff.
Sure.
And that kind of goes to what Larry's saying. Don't be a fly on the wall either.
Yeah. You're here to tell a story.
Yeah, right. But if you're someone who is constantly stepping into someone's tableau, someone's moment, just think, okay, I want this person to have their hero moment. I want this person to have their hero moment. Because if they're successful, we're successful.
Yep.
So that's the first one. Don't be the hijacker.
Don't be the hijacker.
All right. Next, don't be the carrot top. This one, now I suffer from this one. And this is where it stems a little bit from the hijacker, but this is the person who takes every opportunity to insert humor into the moment.
Oh, I'm glad you know yourself.
Yes, exactly. And I suffer from this. It's one of those where you believe it is your job to be the comic
Love
relief.
this man like my brother, folks, but he is 100% telling you the truth.
Yes, and again, and now I'm not saying that you can't enjoy role playing and be humorous.
Absolutely.
And honestly, you know what? That may be your group's MO. And so if that is, then move aside.
Right.
Or just throw this one to the side. But most people are looking to tell an engaging story that has both drama and comedic elements. But if your whole thing is to take, well, let me take this moment to insert a joke, or if you're in my case trying to steal a particular item for a particular person every chance you got. So
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Yeah, it's true. But I was tactful about it. I was tactful. Maybe not to you, but I was tactful. But again, and one of the things to ask yourself is, you know what? Am I trying to bring the focus onto myself? And if that's the case, then maybe it needs to stop. But read the room also. If everybody's loving it, maybe you've kind of like stepped into you've done something and like there's now a running gag that really everyone just loves. Then yeah, ride that sucker. But if if you're every moment you're like, well, I'm gonna tickle the bartender's feet, and it doesn't make sense if it's really just out there and all you're trying to do is just get a laugh and everyone's like, okay, whatever. Maybe move on from that, because again, you want to make sure. Again, you're trying to tell the group's story, and the DM may need to do some other things than feed your ego and or your need to be a comic. Because most of the time, your comedy falls flat. I'm gonna just tell you. I don't even know you, but I'm gonna tell you from experience. Sometimes, most of the time, your just comedy falls flat.
Right. Well, again, I think it goes to motive on that one. I mean, why are you trying to do it, and where is it coming from? Right? Is it coming from the character? Is this genuinely your character? Because you have to stop and ask yourself, if you were an adventurer of any mettle, right? If you had any competence whatsoever, and you've reached the level to be going on an adventure, such as what you guys are doing, you wouldn't be someone who every single thing was a joke. That guy couldn't exist.
Yeah.
At some point, you had to buckle down and get serious, even with natural talent, natural ability, position and born. At some point, you had to have buckled down to even get here. So if nothing else, put yourself in your character's position. Maybe you do like to be a little looser than normal, than someone in your position normally would. Not a problem with that.
And I find
every single thing is like every single moment with you can't be jokes.
And I know. And what I find what's hard for me is it's honestly, it's laziness as a player, because I'm naturally a joke teller. Or I enjoy humor in most of my things.
Yeah.
And so instead of actually, kind of leaning into the character and truly thinking about how the character would react or respond, I just kind of go to my natural bent, which is, let me tell jokes. And so that is something that I necessarily.
What's funny for me in this situation, what you're talking about, and I don't mean funny like haha.
That was like Joe Pesci. Like, am I funny? Do you think I'm funny?
No, not that. For me, the challenge, I guess I should say, funny is probably the wrong word. The challenge for me in role playing period. I've written the story and I've come up with the character, the background for the character. And for me, the challenge is trying to embody the character. That's what I spend, the first couple of sessions doing, thinking, wow, is this what the character would do? After I've played the character a couple of times, then it's pretty easy for me prior to when we start the game. I can literally get into that character. And now I'm being that character. But for me, those first 2 or 3 sessions, I've got so much apprehension because that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking everything that's coming to me. I'm like, is this what he would do? Is this how the character would respond? And it takes me a moment. So that's why sometimes speaking to that without speaking to it directly, that's why sometimes it caught me off guard, or it came from out of left field, or you probably got less of a response than you were expecting. Because man, I was sitting there with that internal going, okay, what I do with my character, and then to get my attention, I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, no, wait, what? No, this makes no sense. And so it wasn't so much that I was annoyed, but I was so far off kilter as it was. And that's me understanding myself and knowing as I come into stride playing that character, things like that will get easier. And I know how the character would react. But it's really important to me personally for me. I don't project this to anyone else, to embody that character. Because of what you said, I take storytelling very seriously. And so I'm like, if I'm contributing to the story, then I want to make sure I'm contributing my part. So and Larry can't do that for, X character that he made up. Because he didn't make up Larry. Larry's the real guy. So Larry's got to take a step back, and character that I made up on the sheet has to step forward. And so that's where, for me, that's kind of where those are the wheels turning in my brain. That may help you moving forward with me and you role playing together. It's going to take Larry a minute to get there because I need to be there. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that I'm able to, communicate as a character. But no, that's a good point, man. I'm so proud of you, man.
Oh, man. Okay, so my next one is what I like to call the Thwarter. Thwarter. This is the person who is actively antagonistic against the DM. So anything that the DM is trying to do, this person is like, nah, I'm going to do this. Nah, I'm going to do this. So the DM lays out a scene. I'm going to go back to the tavern. Or, and again, it goes back to kind of this me first approach. But they are, anything that the DM will throw, they're like, my whole goal is to defeat whatever challenge. I mean, and not to further a story, but just to simply defeat the dungeon master, the GM.
Another way to say this is about me.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah. And I mean, this person, there's not a lot that you really can do with this person other than just allow the DM to do what the DM needs to do.
Yeah, because the DM can fix that.
Yeah, exactly. And which
it's all fun and game till somebody roll for initiative.
And I think what's great about a DM is they have, not only do they have the rules on their side, but they have an endless they have all of creativity to help fix problems like this. And actually you'll see quite a few people in groups they'll just kind of be like, all right, we're done with this guy. We're going to go off and do our own thing. That's a lot of times when you'll see parties split because you have a really hard-headed person like, I want to do this. I'm going to open this chest no matter how many, things it costs me or,
right.
And all that. So don't be a thwarter because, again, you're sucking the fun away from all from the group.
Great to sit down with a group of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really what hits me there. Because sometimes you want to get on those people like that. And of all the things, sometimes this individual wants to look at you like, it's not that serious. Why did you agree to come play?
Yeah.
We're here to come and play by these made up rules. We get it, but that was what we all agreed to.
And I don't even really understand the psychology of a person. Because I've seen this time and time again of people are like, you know what, whatever you... I guess it's because there's a feeling that because the DM is my enemy, which actually is not the case. The DM is not your enemy.
Nope.
He is actually your enabler. And he allows you to do all the things. The DM is there, like he will put enemies in front of you, but it's there to encourage you to think creatively, to experience.
Right. And again, they're playing too.
Right. So, this one actually leads into my one DM, don't be that guy. And that is what I call the destroyer. This is the DM that is actively trying to win the game himself. He is trying to throw every challenge he can because he is saying, it is my job to stop these players at every turn.
Right.
Which is absolutely not the case.
Yeah, because there's no way you can win.
Right.
The players.
I mean, but also, but again, the GM's job is not to win the game. The GM wins when the players have had fun.
I would think so, yes.
And so if you're a GM, your job is not to thwart. Well, I say thwarter because you have the thwarter, but I mean that's really what it is. But your job is not to crush your players. It's not to I mean, now be hard on them, but because in difficulty, you actually, it's where heroism is born, and your heroes actually get to be heroic and do epic things. But listen, fudge it. Allow your heroes to have some wins. But then you can be hard. Don't be super easy on them. But it's not your job to crush their spirits because then your players won't show up. They're just like, all right, I'm done. That's it. Thanks. That was fun.
Right. Because we can't understand as players everything that the GM has going, and that's by design. That's not a problem. So this is from my perspective, and I haven't DM'd yet. You have, and I have not. But this is one of the reasons I surmise. One of the things I surmise it is. This was one of the reasons why I haven't ventured into the waters yet, that particular pool just yet. But if your personal goals, and your personal idea of, hey, this was successful is so esoteric that it is virtually impossible for the players to do two things. That is, one, succeed, and two, get it. Yeah, I think you need to rethink your approach to being a DM. You know what I mean? If it's like for you to sit there and say, I'll be successful when all these things happen, the players aren't supposed to know those things. And if they can't get them, if they're so highbrow above the group that you're playing with that they will never get that, I think you need to reevaluate with that group. Can you walk a group to that? Sure, probably, yeah. And there are probably groups out there, guys that have been playing, or players that have been playing for years and years, and they can sit with a GM that's maybe like that, and maybe they pick it right up. But again, what you said a moment ago, man, read the room. And if the table that you have, if that's not the group that you're with, I mean, like you said, who's enjoying that? And who is it for?
Yeah.
Who is it for? So, no, that's a real good one on the DM one. I like it. I like it a lot. What else you got for us?
That was it. That was my 3 and my 1 DM.
There you go. And I know we talked about this a bit. If you haven't listened to the last episode, please do. Last episode, when we had Ryan Howard on with us of Rolling Bones with Ryan, it was a really good episode. And we kind of covered a lot of this anyway, but we didn't want to do it and kind of do our own flavor with it. But by all means, guys, if any of this interests you and you want to play tabletop games, tabletop role-playing games, man, listen to the last episode. So much good episode, so much good information with Ryan. So that is it for Don't Be That Guy, an older but a goodie that we hadn't dusted off for quite some time. We'll take a short break and hear from our sponsors, and after that, we'll be right back after the break.
We want to thank the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Van Ryder Games.
Creators of award-winning games such as the single-player Hostage Negotiator and the One vs. Many Detective City of Angels.
You can find their full catalog of games, including their graphic novel adventures, at vanrydergames.com. That's VANRYDERGAMES.com, your FLGS, or wherever you buy your games online. And we're back. That was really cute. Woohoo!
So what are we doing?
Hey, we're going to do one of our favorite and most consistent segments, and that is First Impressions.
Absolutely. One of my favorites because
we play a lot of games.
We move through a lot of games.
We do. We do.
And we don't, sometimes, if we haven't
played a chance to stop.
Yeah, and if we haven't played a game enough times to do it on the table, which is our more in-depth, then that's one of the reasons why I created the First Impression, because that's what it's for. So it lets us move through like we need to, but still be able to sit down and give you guys thoughts with the proper context.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we've only played this a few times. This isn't our full-on thoughts on it. We don't do numbered reviews. For those of you that are just joining us, when we do On the Table, it's our in-depth. We like to sit down and give you the experience of playing a game and what it's like, and we talk about it, and we do have some opinions and we go through some points, but that's not what this is. This is our first impressions, and I love to do them even when we first open the box. So for me, I've seen the box open, the game laid out and explained, and played it exactly one time. So it is truly my first impression. Mr. Alex, sir, what game are we covering this time?
This time we are covering the Spiel des Jahres winner for 2021, and that is Micro Macro Crime City by Johannes Sitch. Published by Lucky Duck Games and released in 2020. I didn't realize it was released in 2020. I thought it was, but granted, it was. It is an import to the States.
Yes.
So I did know that.
Yes.
And actually, this one was. I did not expect to be able to find this one, but our wonderful Rick with. Game Point Games in Nashville had a copy when I went to go pick up some of my Marvel Champion stuff in mine, and I will take this. And it had just won the Spiel, but I'd already been looking for it.
That's how I did with Curious Cargo.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Before I'd even before it won the Spiel, I was still I was on the hunt for it. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I had no idea.
Yeah, because it released in the States. I think probably late May-ish, and it was gone everywhere. But for those of you who don't know Micro Macro, it is the best way that I can explain it. It is a group activity in the vein of what's the one with Sherlock Holmes? Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
Okay.
So it is.
I thought you were going to say concept.
No. Well, no. It's very much.
I was going to say, but this is good.
Yeah. Hey, Concepts wasn't bad, but we will. Well, that's another thing. But so it's a group activity. So it is a cooperative game. In that you're not working against anyone. So everyone who's at the table is playing together. Now, what do you do?
Don't forget your glasses.
Don't forget, it actually comes with a magnifying glass.
Don't forget your glasses.
Yeah, you will need, and it. You know, it's funny in the rule books. Or, well, let me. I'll come to. All right, let me come back to the part about well lit room. But so what it is a giant map. I mean, we're sitting at what, a 5-foot table? You think roughly 5 foot by 5 foot by 2 feet table, and it covers, I would say, 90% of this table.
Yeah, most of it was covered.
When open. So it's one giant map that is...
It's a paper folding map.
Yes, paper folding. It's monochromatic. It's white, and it's a white map with no color.
Black pen.
Yeah, black pen. And what it is, if you've ever seen a Where's Waldo, it's Where's Waldo, but black and white.
Yeah, charming little art design.
Yeah.
Like
Very
design.
consistent.
Yeah, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, very consistent. So ultimately, what it has is the box comes with 16 different cases. Each case comes with a number of cards that ask you to find a particular scene, and then each of these scenes is a clue in an overall crime. And so the first ones are pretty easy. And what's really cool about this is that the map itself is not a static moment in time. It is actually you are able to trace movements in all of this by looking at pictures, and so
which is key.
Yeah, and so
pretty unique.
So you can see the beginning of a crime and the end of a crime, and everything in between, as it walks through, which is the main portion of the game, because of what it basically you start at the scene of the crime. And then it asks you to, all right, walk backwards.
Yeah,
based on what you see. All right, your next thing is find out where this particular piece of evidence is, and so then you do that, and then find out where this is, and then this is, and then at each of those you kind of collect together, and then ultimately it says, all right, how did this particular crime happen? What was the motive, and or those kinds of things? And I'm going to tell you. So the first two are a walk in the park, super easy.
Well, they're getting you set up and walking.
Right. When you get to the third case, it starts to go, okay, yeah, you think you had it, and now we need you to start making some not leaps, but we need to you need to make some inferences here.
Yeah.
But every time you make a jump or a leap or a thought in what might have happened or what you should be looking for next, even if you're wrong, when you look at the answer, I get what they were doing there.
Yeah.
And each of is like, and you don't feel dumb for missing something, but you really feel like I should have. I see why I didn't pick up on this. And so everything that's out of place
is pretty cool.
Everything that's out of place is important. And what also I loved is as you are searching through this giant map, there's so many wonderful little tableaus and little just kind of snippets of things going on. You see, that's interesting, huh? Oh, that's interesting, huh? And then you'll circle back around, and eventually there's a case like, I saw this guy over here doing this, and so a little bit of memory. I've really enjoyed this. I've really, really enjoyed this. I don't know if it's Spiel des Jahres worthy, but I don't necessarily know what the field was this year.
I don't know what Spiel des Jahres. I don't even know anymore, man.
Yeah, I don't. But it's by all means, this is so worth your time, effort, and money.
I think so. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's not. It's a little puzzly, but not in the traditional sense. It's a puzzle in that you're looking at all of this cute little line art. It's really tiny. I've got 50-year-old eyes because that's how long I've had them. Mm-hmm. And so, I needed the magnifying glass. I needed the light from my cell phone, a flashlight, and the overhead light to make some of these things work out. And you cannot play this one sitting down. You're going to have to stand up over the map and look down on it. At least not with 50-year-old eyes. Yeah. Some 20-year-olds out there listening to us probably can do it just fine. But so take that into consideration, and that was one of my first impressions. I can't not mention that. That was a bit of that makes it a high bar to entry. But I'm reluctant,
and that was what I came back to. Like, you need a well lit room.
You do.
The rule book says, hey, you have a well lit room.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to want to bring a lamp, and then it comes back and says it again. I was like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah. No.
But then I was like, no, you need this.
Yeah. No. This is it's a real thing. I'm reluctant to hit a game up in terms of a negative terms of a score just because of how I am for this reason. So what I would do instead is make sure that you know it. Listen, these are bars these are part of the learning curve or the accessibility curve to the game. Being able to see it if your eyesight's challenged, you're going to have some issues. Other than that, though, yeah, what's there, it's clever. It is charming. I would not turn down an opportunity to do this, in a group, now having played it. I can't see adding it to my collection. Personally, I wouldn't add it to my collection, but definitely I would play it.
It is a great solo experience. I mean, there's no reason you can't play it solo.
I take your word for it.
Yeah, but I know, but I understand. You're right. It does have a little bit of that. Like, you need to puzzle some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
There are steps in logic where you kind of go, okay, what would make the most sense? And they usually do.
Right. And to be fair, with a lot of solo games, I know I talk about I don't like puzzles. That's a lot of them. That's what they are. Is that they're logic puzzles. And I don't think I tend to play a lot of them that are like that. But again, don't want to get too far off in the weeds on this one. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, we had fun. You showed it to me. It was very easy for you to teach it to me. You told me what we were going to do. You handed me the magnifying glass. Of course, when you unfolded the map, I'm thinking, oh, I can't see that. And it was a magnifying glass. Oh, thank goodness. And I didn't forget my glasses. I have them with me. But we got past that. No, and it is. It's a pleasant little experience. And there's a neat little sense of accomplishment, when you find something. It's like, you read the clues. And the clues are like, it's this. And then you're looking and your eyes are just drawn, like you said, to certain things. You think, oh, wait, there it is right there. So that's really cool. And that's really clever. And, I think from that standpoint, it's well designed and well developed. There's a difference. We won't talk about it here. I think it's both. And I enjoy my time with it. I mean, it's an enjoyable experience. If it sounds like it's up your alley as far as Larry's concerned, then I say, yeah, absolutely go for it. By all means. All means. Even those of you who, like me, don't like puzzles. Give it a shot. I don't know. Again, I don't know that I wouldn't get it to play it solo. Yeah. But if you get a chance to play it, by all means, do so.
Yeah. And again, if you like Where's Waldo, this is something that it's super easy to recommend. And if you're looking for a unique group activity, this is something that I could really recommend. Now, I haven't played through all 16 cases, so I know that there's a big jump in complexity, even from case 3 to case 4. So I can only imagine even further than that what it asks you to do, because it starts to open up the map completely just wider. So yeah, no, that's our first impressions of Micro Macro, and let's move on.
Yeah. And we are back, and it is time for Summer of Games Game Choice. And you know what we did, Alex?
What did we do, Larry?
We forgot to do one last episode.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So we're going to catch up this time and do 2 each.
Yeah!
Oh, it's fantastic. Sure, you get the Oscar.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I worked very hard.
So let's get started. And for those of you who don't know, during the Summer of Games, we always talk about a couple of games or a game at the end of the show each, where we want you to go out as soon as you're done listening to this podcast. Find a copy, pick it up, go and play it with your family and your friends. These are Alex and Larry approved. You will enjoy them. They come with our highest recommendations. Mr. Alex, what is the first game up for you this week?
Oh, I have chosen... I actually went a little bit of TMG nostalgia.
Oh,
I did. And so the first game I have talked about before on the podcast, and it's a great little... kind of worker placement game, and that is Gold West by J. Alex Kevern. So Tasty Minstrels, Gold West. You can also, there's a Roll West now. It's a smaller version. But this is, it's like, Cynthia and I played this the other day, 2-player, and
cool.
Yeah, and she was like, this, I don't hate this.
I like the game. I do like it.
Yeah, it's
solid.
Yeah, it's super solid. Yeah,
very good game. Very, very cool. All right. Well, my first one, which is the one for last episode that I forgot. I've talked about this one before recently, but it wasn't on a Go Play It Now list. It virtually was. It made a top 3 for me. It made a super good list, and that is Dice Hospital. And this one's by Stan Kordonsky and Mike Nudd, and it's published by Alley Cat Games. Was released in 2018. Guys, hands full of chunky dice. They're your patients. You're trying to keep them alive. You got your hospital. They do have a wonderful version on BGA. I've been playing it on BGA. I own the physical copy version of it. I ordered it the night I learned it. Alex and Cynthia beat the bejeebas out of me, which is not unusual in the game. They were fighting for first place, and my hospital had been burned down and bombed by the government. That's how bad we were. But I loved it. And I got it kind of too late to make a difference in that game, but I went home and ordered it that night. and got it in a couple of days. And so I'm really, really glad that I own it now because it does also play solo. It is a blast. Just the dice, it's fun. The theme, of course, with the patience dying, obviously, yes, we understand what that is, but you're going to have so much fun working the combos, figuring out to use the powers, getting the people, getting the rooms, adding them onto your hospital, working your plan, planning your work. It's just a blast. And you get to roll a bunch of chunky dice. It's fantastic. That is Dice Hospital by Alley Cat Games. Mr. Alex, what's your one for this episode?
All right. And my one for this episode, again, sticking with the TMG. This is Yokohama by Hisashi Hayashi. And gosh, what a clever worker placement game! Basically, you are the president coming to view to walk through this wonderful, cute little fishing town, and you have to move your president around, but you can only go where your little secretary people have gone and kind of cleared the area, and you sort of set a path. But then where you go, it's a Euro, but it does some really fun things that really change up the formula, and it's just a fun one. It's a fun one. It's easy to find, I think, still, and so so that's Yokohama by Hisashi Hayashi.
Very, very cool. And then my game for this episode. This time we're going to go with another one I've talked about recently. It's been a little bit further back. We just recently played this one, 4-player. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic, and so I can wholeheartedly put this one out there as a suggestion, and that is Overboss, a boss monster adventure. This one is by Iron. This one is by Aaron Mesborn and Kevin Russ, and it was published by Brotherwise Games. Was released this year, 2021. This one is an extension, of course, of the the boss monster game situation. It's not the same type of game because in Overboss, everybody gets their own tableau and you're building a land instead of a dungeon, and you're trying to put together. It's a 3x3 grid, 4x3 grid actually, and you've got so many ways that you can build points. And again, you're picking tiles, you're drafting tiles, you're choosing tiles and monsters, and you get to move your things around. There's mitigation for how things come off the board. You can move them once you get them. And I thought it was just really, really clever and put together. And it's a point salad game at the end, but it's just got some clever interactions. So many tiles. There's so much game in the box. This one, I know you can go and you can find a copy of it. It's well produced. It's well done. It's fun. It's lighthearted. And you can step up the difficulty. If you've got younger kids and you're playing this with them, you can start with just matching the colors or just doing the base stuff. And then as you get into it, as they get into it, as you get better with it, you can start adding more things. And these are all the components that are in the box. You don't have to go and buy an expansion and get the extra stuff to get the deeper gameplay of it. Just a fun game. Wonderful art style. Very colorful. Well done. It's Overboss, a boss monster adventure. And this one is published by Brotherwise Games, released in 2021. Mr. Alex, I believe a wow is in order.
Wow.
Look at that, man. We have come to the end of another episode. We want to thank everyone, thank all of you for spending time with us, for coming out and listening to us month after month, for interacting with us. Those of you who do, don't you say a word, on social media, and just keep hanging out there with us. Summer of Games is going to keep rolling on. We'd love to hear from you, hear what you're doing, what you're playing this summer. And like I said, we got some special things, some few surprises still in store, so everything's not done just yet. But for the Spoken Token, this is Larry Neal saying keep communicating.
And this is Alex Wallace saying keep playing.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you would like to interact with us, please find us at Facebook at The Spoken Token, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast. Our Twitter account is at The Spoken Token. Email is thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com. And our BGG guild number is 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.